Morning, Les. You just
Good
are not
morning, David.
you just are not going to say good morning first anymore, are you?
No, this is your week. Remember, you claimed it. So
Did you just call me weak? You said I'm weak.
no. I think that's what your mind said. That's what
I
it's
got you.
hearing. But I said, this is your week.
Okay, you just said you're weak, but it's okay.
See me after
Go with it.
class.
I'm strong enough to actually take this barrage
Oh my
stuff.
goodness. If anything at all, you're the strongest person I know.
Anyway, okay. So again, we're spending a few weeks on this because maybe longer, because one thing that motivates me a lot is the family. And we found out that we do all sorts of writing relaxation, lots of tools, but the family dynamics would pull people back into pain. And I couldn't figure it out over and over and over again. When we realized the problem, we started constructing solutions. So as powerful the family was at keeping people in pain, it was equally powerful as pulling people out of pain. So we're going to try to focus on one thing at a time. And today is about one of our basic rules that we have with everybody in chronic pain is to never discuss your pain ever again. So Les, if you're in my office and you're doing your usual complaining, I'm going to say Les. When you walk out the door, you'll never discuss your pain ever again with anybody, friends, colleagues, especially your family. And you can talk to your doctors, of course, and providers, but that's it. And I didn't realize until we did our workshops that people spend probably 70% of the waking hours either searching for a cure, discussing their pain, complaining, or something. And I get it. I did the same thing for years. Because
Yeah.
this hole, you're desperate, you want to get out. So a huge amount of your brain is occupied by solving the pain. So you'll talk to anybody that'll listen at a party, but at home, it's deadly. And so we made the rule you cannot discuss your pain within the family. But one of the reasons for this recommendation was a research study published in 2013 that looked at 105 couples. And this happened in every couple, every time. They put monitors on their wrist. And then when the person in pain would complain about their pain or grimace or do something that indicated they were in pain, there's a predictably hostile response from their spouse every time they complain. And then they documented that the pain went up for about 3 hours after this every time. So here's a person in pain, complains to the spouse gets upset, and they get tired, by the way, compassion fatigue, and then the pain will go up. But what was really fascinating about the study, so I'm the person in pain, I complain, my spouse, it doesn't help my spouse, it doesn't help my family, and the pain goes up, but I still keep complaining. Every couple, every time. So this is where you get to put your guru head on today in a big way. Why would I keep complaining? If I know my pain's going to go up, I know I'm going to upset my spouse and my family. Why do I keep complaining? What's going on?
That's easy. That's an easy one because it feels good. Yeah,
Excuse me? I mean,
that's one.
my pain's worse. How can that feel good?
Right. It's much like many things we do in life. It's not good for us, but we do it. We drink lots of sodas. We eat fatty food. It feels so good, but yet so bad. The point here is this is one of the things that we tend to do is when we complain, it feels good to just get something off our chest. It's true. But it becomes toxic when it becomes a daily occurrence or every time you see your partner who you're living with, and even with children or anyone else or coworkers. Complaining really not only feels good, but it's actually bad for your health. A study done not too long ago at Stanford found that it shrinks your hippocampus,
I'm sorry,
not your
what?
your hippocampus, not your hippopotamus, but your
Now, and by the way, the hippocampus is part of the brain that is the memory center, correct?
yeah, absolutely, and that's damaging. And if most people don't know what that is think of someone who has memory loss. It really does. They found out a couple of things. One, they found out that it shrinks your hippocampus, your memory banks. The second thing they
I'm
found
sorry,
out
what
also,
shrinks it? The complaining does or the pain does?
the complaining does.
Okay.
So constantly complaining actually does have an effect on your life, your health, toxicity. It also tends to increase cortisol, which means that your fight or flight is up constantly. So now you've got a bad loop here that kind of sets you up. So complaining actually keeps you, in that spot of toxicity, not growth. The other thing I wanted to mention is this. They've had other studies that they found out that when you do complain incessantly about this, about that, it's almost like there's no sense of gratefulness in you. is your body will feel it. And most of my patients who complain a lot about life, and when they actually step back and say they have a better life than most people, complaining not only increases the sensitivity of your pain, it also enlarges, this is the part that's important, your amygdala. Your amygdala is the part of your brain that tends to be what I call a smoke detector. It is where it's been dubbed the emotional seat of your brain. So which means that you whatever you are practicing, you are growing on the inside. That's dangerous.
Right. I mean, the thing about this whole pain project that's been interesting is the way you can actually solve chronic pain, again, mental and physical pain, is by restructuring your brain. You're actually developing new circuits, shifting from pain ones to more pleasurable ones. So if you try to fix your pain, while you're going to reinforce it, but if you complain about it all the time, which is normal, I get it. I mean, it's a legitimate complaint. There's no reason not to talk about it. So how do you not talk about your pain? But probably the most powerful thing I've seen in action besides expressive writing has been not discussing your pain.
Yeah.
It's interesting when we do our workshops and we put that up there or in our Tuesday, Thursday roundtables that people still want to talk about their pain. They'll hide behind the building and talk about their pain. And so some people have had to ask a couple people to leave the workshop because they can't stop discussing their pain.
Yeah.
So it's a behavioral pattern, it's powerful, but you're reinforcing those circuits in an incredible way. The other thing I noticed within the family, so the family again are the deepest triggers. We'll keep discussing this over and over again, but we need social connection. But that then the closer the better, but the closer the connection, the stronger the triggers. It's a huge
Yeah.
problem. So now you're again, go back to the scenario, is that you have the spouse who has a predictably hostile response and your pain increases. So you're saying it feels good to complain, and I don't disagree with that. It feels good to be a victim. I mean, I like it a lot. I still indulge in it a lot.
Yeah.
And coming
Yeah.
out of this victim mode is something that's a whole separate discussion and very powerful. But the suggestion I'm going to have today, and Dr. Arya will second this, I believe. Are you in an agreeable mood this morning, Dr. Arya?
I'm very agreeable 9 out of 10 times with you.
Okay, well, let's try this. Try this. But don't discuss your pain. So no complaining, no criticism, no giving advice, no gossiping. Just get your brain where you want to go in life. And discussing your pain with family wears them out. And I will say, look, when you walk out the door, you'll never discuss your pain ever again. They come back for the 2-week follow-up and they've had some success, but it's harder than you think. But don't do
Yeah.
it. Stop. There's
Yeah.
no shortcuts here. You're not going to want to give up complaining, but the relief in the room of the family is palpable. Everybody is so relieved in the family because you can't, as a family member, you can't do anything. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So they feel trapped and helpless also. And so what happens to a person in pain, instead of being supportive, they're driving people away. So that's my one. I
Yeah.
can't put it into a Davidism like,
Yeah.
you know,
David,
this.
David, something's happening right inside of me. Something's percolating.
Oh God. Okay,
Oh,
here's the
oh,
lesson. I'm
here,
going to write this down.
here we go. Complaining will keep you remaining in pain.
Complaining will keep you remaining. Got it.
In pain. And on a serious note here is David and I we have this practice and it's true. Many of my patients who defy our instructions actually will meet their wrath by family members, getting frustrated with them and then eventually just wanting to pull away. And we have a couple of solutions besides not talking about your pain. David talks a lot about this and I think it's very important. And if you have to complain, try paper and pen.
Right.
Try, if you're like, I don't want to get up and go grab it, then grab your cell phone because most of us are in off. This is our common position for most of the time. Then
Right.
type it out as if you're sending an email to someone and then delete it and then drop into your breath. If you've got to be very mindful of how you come across. And not only that, as you're draining the love that someone may have for you, it's very intoxicating for you, but it's very toxic for the relationship. So keep that in mind. If you feel like you need to kind of explode when you don't want to implode, which means that you're trying to suppress it, which is another group of my patients. They are the opposite. They don't complain about anything, kind of like my grandmother who had hip pain, bilateral hip pain, and she wobbled when she walked. And, and my point here is she never complained. She always hummed. But when you do ask her, she did complain a little bit to let you know, and then she backed off. So there's the opposite. For those of you who are not complaining, not telling people when they go, how are you doing? Oh, I'm fine. When actually you're really suffering. And there are those people who are just complaining incessantly like it's going out of stock, right?
Right.
And so the opposite is very important. The solution is go to paper to pen and put those thoughts down, because if you don't learn how to healthily release them, you will be creating a very reactive nervous system, and you will feel more pain, you will feel more depression and anger for that matter. So please make sure you have ways of coping with that, from breath work to meditation to expressive writing. And one of the, David, would you agree with that?
Yeah, you can also do it verbally in a room by yourself. Just express yourself verbally is actually as effective as the writing. So you've
Yeah.
done it called verbal expressive writing. So in a room, you can just express your frustrations to the room.
Yeah.
But when you express it to your, so I mean, let me say one more corollary here is that your responsibility as a human being is to bring peace, love, and joy into your family. That's it. And you might be in pain, so well, that's impossible. That's not true. That's why we're here, is to flip this paradigm. So it may take a little bit of work in sequencing to get there, but you're particularly not bringing in peace, love, and joy when you're complaining. So at least start there. And then I agree, the piece of paper verbally, you got to express it,
Yeah.
but not to your friends and family.
Yeah. David, I think it's important before we leave to really impart to our audience and also to ourselves. Anytime we say anything to the audience, we're saying it back to ourselves. Find one thing you're grateful about your family,
Yeah.
or your partner. Like, find that one. If you're like, oh no, if you start to find yourself wanting to complain about whether it's your pain or anything in life, I want you to try this exercise today. Whenever you're in contact with them, find something that you're grateful to express for. You know what? It's really nice and mild today. The weather is pretty good. Something that you're grateful for, or something that they do for you, or that you do with them. Find time to be grateful, because you will be the loudest person that cries when that person goes.
Right.
So
Great.
take time in this present moment to have a sense of gratitude, or else your suffering is just around the corner, which you will feel. And it's just what life is. So it's really important to just take time to send a text message, or to simply text that partner of yours and say, thank you very much. I have been complaining lately, and I'd like to kind of shift this. And so take time, because gratitude is a prerequisite to happiness.
Absolutely. Okay, I'll let you have the last word. That was a good last word. All right, I'm granting you that today. Last word for Dr. Lesario. All right, so Dr. I can be found at remedypain.co. I can be found at thedocjourney.com. That is the docjourney.com. And we enjoyed talking to you. And again, the family issues are huge. It's one of the biggest driving forces that keeps both of us going, because it's not only you that are being affected by the pain, it's your whole family. And that, it's really spread out society pretty quickly. So thank you for listening, and we will see you tomorrow.
Good morning. Have a great morning, David, everyone.
You too.